Good morning. I am, I did a little more prepping for today's live than usually happens. And I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today and about getting to spend this time with you. And so you may hear little man Jack upstairs playing. And if you do, that's work from home life these days, right? You all get it. Nancy, good morning on Instagram. So good to see you. Here's what I want to know as you are coming in, if you're watching this live, and even just check in too, if you're watching this on the replay. Mustafa, good afternoon. How are you? Here's what I want to know. And I really want to know in the comments what you think. What do you think is the biggest missing link in most people's sales numbers? So, what do you think it is? Is it that you think most people need, is it you think it's a better script? Is it a better process, a better system? What do you think is that biggest missing link? So I really, really want interaction this morning / this afternoon, depending on what your time zone is right now. Elizabeth, good morning. What do we think that missing link is? So let me know. I know for so many years, I thought it was a better process, a better script, etc. And I ended up staying kind of stuck for a long time. Michelle's saying picking up the phone. Michelle, in many ways, yes. And I would say there's something underlying that as to why so many people don't do that. And isn't it crazy too? Like whether you're a business owner or whether you're a salesperson working for another company, that's how you make money, is by having conversations, right? Yet it's the number one thing that most people procrastinate on and avoid. Nancy saying self-confidence. We're getting warm. We're getting warm, Nancy. Laura, good morning. Oh, Laura, you're going to love this today. I'm so glad you're here. So here's what I would say is, part of my own story and part of what I hear from a lot of my clients is that for so many years they thought, and they've invested a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources in trying to get a better system in place for their sales and for their business. How many of you can relate to that? Like, give me a heart, give me a yes, give me a thumbs up if you can relate to that, where you said, like, I know I invested tens and tens of thousands of dollars in like tactical business coaching, which I still do and which is important. So I am not knocking that. However, I did, and I stayed stuck at roughly the same income level and sales level for close to a decade. And I saw a lot of my clients who I was working with when I was just teaching the tactical stuff, like they would have incremental gains, but they didn't have the quantum leaps that we're talking about here. Mary, good morning. I'm asking everyone what they think the missing link is in most sales, in most people's sales numbers. Michelle's saying fear of rejection. You're saying, yes, you relate to investing a lot in the tactical stuff. Yep. Linda, good morning. Sierra, good morning. I love seeing my ladies on here this morning. Oh, Lori, hey, good morning. So well, let me tell you a story. And then I'm going to tell you what I think the missing link is and what we're going to talk about today. So a while back, I've worked with a lot of really high-level mentors and coaches over the years. And a while back, I decided to work with a woman who specifically helps moms build seven-figure businesses. I was like, that's my jam. That's speaking to me. So I hired this woman, and I think, like, coming into it, I think she's going to help me immediately build out a process for scaling. And it's like, okay, what's the program we're doing? What's the script that I need to use? What's like the plug and play templates? And on our very first call, she's like, have you ever done any inner child work? I was like, no, I don't. Nope. Don't have any desire to either. I was like, I thought, I don't see what that has to do with building my sales and my business. And I thought it was ridiculous until I did it. And who in here, I know some of you are my clients, so you've done this, but who in here has done inner child work before? Thank you for the hearts. Let me know, pop yes, or in the comments, or give me a heart. Here's what I will say. When I did it for the first time, Sarah's doing hearts. Yep. When I did it for the first time, I realized that there were so many things that I was holding on to from when I was like 8 or 13 or 15, or even in my early 20s, that I did not realize were still having me feel in many ways unworthy unworthy of receiving more money, more clients, unsafe to be seen. Oh, good morning. Michelle, you've done inner child work. Awesome. Tracy, good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Mary's saying never until you showed me. Yeah. And thank you for that, Mary. And was that I'm just curious for you. How powerful was that for you to do that? I thought I thought it was bogus. I thought it did not matter until I did it. And then once I did that work and did that healing work, and once it was complete, it was suddenly like the veil had been lifted. And I was able to access this totally new level of self-confidence, empowerment, a feeling of wholeness, that when I took that feeling into my business and into my sales, I mean, just if you're like a show me the proof person, one tangible proof, closing rate went from about 30% to darn near 100% on calls. So don't get on a sales call with me unless you want to buy something now. I'm just messing with you. but it's that, and that's what I care about helping you do now, is learn to sell from that place of wholeness rather than what most people are carrying, even though they don't realize it, which is that place of brokenness, that place of unworthiness, that place of not enoughness, because it's totally different when we do. And that's the missing link that I personally am so dedicated to helping you add in to your life so that you can experience that transformational growth, is that healing piece, so that you come to your sales, to your business from that place of empowerment, embodied wholeness, like confidence, self-belief. So it's your, when you can rest assured, and I know this sounds weird, but when you look out at a group of people, whether you're leading a sales team, whether you're, working with other adults on your team, whether it's your team that you're leading in your business, imagine a bunch of 7-year-olds. Okay. And that's what we don't know. That's what we don't see, is what's behind the scenes, what's underneath, is that people are holding on to so many, like whether trauma, micro trauma, or limiting beliefs that are holding them back, that they picked up on when they were little kids, that they don't realize they're still holding on to. And so when people act out, or when they, Michelle, to your point, they've got the fear of picking up the phone, or Nancy, to what you said, they're not confident. It's not their adult self that you're seeing. It's their inner little kid. And this applies man, woman, I don't care. I've done this inner child work now with men, women, like all of my clients. And it is the most profound, fast shift for most people that you'll ever experience. Let me just check comments here. Mary saying it was huge for you. Yeah. Linda, I looked it up on YouTube like you suggested, but still don't have a clear understanding of it. So Linda, a couple things. One is, I know at some point we'll probably be working together. When you come into the program and you do that work, I think it'll click for you then. But it's basically, how do I explain it? You have different aspects of you that are showing up at all times. So when you feel like, who in here knows when you just feel like confident, aligned, on top of the world, it's like nothing can stop you, nothing can get in your way. That's when you're showing up in your full empowered self. And I use a lot of archetypes with my clients. So like for a woman, that could be like goddess or queen. For a man, that could be king or magician. But that's when you're showing up as your highest self. That's when you're embodying that version of you. And that version of you is the version that makes the sales, makes the money, has the results that he or she's looking for. But then you also know, and how many of you can relate to this happening this week, yesterday, today, when you feel fearful, when you feel scared, when you feel small, when you feel unworthy. And typically what that's tied to is earlier in your life. And again, we've talked about this on these lives before, the first 7-ish years of your life, you are a giant walking subconscious. You're under hypnosis, essentially. You do not have the ability, your brain cannot filter out. If someone tells you little girls should be seen and not heard, your brain takes that to be true. And then you carry that with you the rest of your life, not realizing that who in here struggles with fear of visibility? Does anybody struggle with that? Fear of visibility, fear of like going live, like it makes you uncomfortable to think about doing a live, standing on a stage, whatever. Who in here, give me a yes, give me a heart. Let me know. because that, like, you don't realize where it comes from. And that's, Linda, to your question of what is inner child work, it's healing that part of you. It's going in and healing that part of you. And again, this applies man, woman, all of us have this part of us that needs to be healed. Okay. Thank you for the heart. So you get it. So, and maybe it wasn't little girls should be seen and not heard. You know, I work with a lot of clients who have sexual trauma, whether it was from a family member, whether it was from somebody else, but you literally learned growing up that it was not safe to receive, right? It's like we close off, we create like a protective wall. And that's that defense mechanism that's actually holding you back from going live, from being seen, from being visible. And you don't even realize that it's blocking you from receiving money and clients, because somewhere in your brain, and this is deep in the recesses, okay, but somewhere in your brain is the belief system that if I receive, it's traumatic, right? If I that I need to protect myself, that I need to close off, and we have that type of energy, and you don't realize that that's blocking you from receiving money, clients, opportunities, and what you actually want as well. Is this making sense? Is this making sense for you? So this is, that healing part is so essential. And when we can do that, and we can help our inner child feel safe and feel okay, and feel safe to go off and not try to control things, like whatever the habits are that you find repeating in your life. Like for me, as a little girl, I learned to try to control everything to be safe. And so I took that with me in my business for many, many years. And I would try to like death grip everything. If things started moving too fast, I would get scared and I would try to slow it down. And so it's like, of course, we stayed kind of stuck at the same revenue level, because that was my safety zone. And so you will revert back to those same habits that you had, those things you learned as a little kid, those coping mechanisms. You'll revert back to them to try to stay safe as an adult. And you don't even realize it's happening. Like, that's the biggest thing. You don't realize it's happening. Let me just pause and look at comments here momentarily. Sierra, the inner child work for you was very eye-opening, changed your perspective on a lot of things. Yes. And I know you now, like, you're very aware, right? This is part of the power of it too. Is we become aware. It's not that stuff doesn't still trigger us, because with every up level, there's more limiting beliefs that are exposed, and there's more, we will tend to revert back to whatever those old coping mechanisms are. So it's not that we like are free from this for life. Once we've done the healing work, there's always more to be done, and that's okay. And that's part of the process. But you become aware of it, right? And I know, Sierra, getting to work with you as a client, you'll be aware. It's like, oh, this is little Sierra. This isn't Goddess Sierra. This isn't my highest self right now who's speaking. I know it. But then we can handle it in a much more elegant way than if we weren't aware of it. Laura, this process was life-changing for me. I love that. It's so powerful. Laura, I didn't realize I was afraid to be seen, but shifted with your help. Beautiful, beautiful. Wendy, you never put that together. Wow, I'm so glad that makes sense for you. Linda, you're so welcome. Let's see comments on here. Yeah. So here's, so right now I'm rereading Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if we have Think and Grow Rich fans in the house, but this one line I just wanted to pull in from today. Justin, good morning. He says, our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. And I want you to write that down. If you're in a place where you can write right now, write that down. Our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. And the limitations often come from those limiting beliefs, right? They do. They come from limiting beliefs. They come from traumas or micro traumas that we pick up on when we're kids, when we're younger. And we say, well, I wouldn't want to out earn my parents because that would mean that they wouldn't love me, right? That would make them feel bad. Or I wouldn't want to be too much or shine too much because I learned growing up that if I do that my siblings beat up on me, or I get, my mom makes fun of. And again, like I want to be so clear here. We are never making our parents wrong here, ever, ever, ever. I love both my parents dearly. They were doing the best they could with what they had. Some of you had phenomenal experiences growing up with your parents. Some of you didn't. Either way, it realized it was them, like their inner child, and the stuff where they maybe didn't show up in the best way for you. It was them reverting back to old coping mechanisms. This stuff is generational, my friends. Like this stuff goes back and back and back and back and back. Everyone is just doing the best they can with what they have. Okay. But those experiences really will shape you. And then it's like you're not aware that that's what's holding you back. And so, I have the honor of hearing the behind the scenes stories with so many of my clients, to hear about those things that start coming up for them when they start doing this work. Which is now what I lead with in my sales training, which sounds weird. It's like it's sales coaching and training. Why are we leading with inner child work? Because you don't want a 7-year-old in charge of your sales. Okay. Like who is with me? Who is like, you're all with me here? You don't want your 7-year-old in charge of your sales. You want your adult, empowered king, queen, magician, goddess. Like you want that person in charge of your life and in charge of your sales at this point. So we got to help that inner 7-year-old feel safe, so that he or she can go back to being a little kid and not try to control things for us. Thank you for the hearts. So, but I hear the stories of things that happened, and some very traumatic things that have happened for a lot of my clients that have totally knocked their confidence, their ability to receive. And so when we do this work, it's always amazing to me, and I had this experience too, of how quickly things can start to shift. And people will say, like they suddenly feel a lightness. And so for those of you who have done this work in here, what was the experience afterwards for you? I know for me, it was about a day of feeling really heavy, because it was like all of these emotions that had been kind of suppressed and buried were brought up to the surface. And I felt very low energy, very heavy for about a day. And then it was like it lifted. And then I have some clients, a lot of clients don't have that happen at all, where it's like it's like the lightness immediately. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like one woman in the challenge last week, this was kind of cool. She said she saw the anxiety leaving her body like a snake that she'd been holding on to for so many years. And it can happen like that. So this does not have to take long. I just want to encourage you. It doesn't matter how long you've had that old pattern, or how long you felt unworthy, or how long you've been in anxiety, or how long you've been hiding, fearing visible. It does not need to take long to heal that. But once we do, and we can then build and sell from that place of wholeness and remove those self-imposed limitations and realize that you are capable and worthy of anything. Mary's saying it was very freeing. Yes. When you're able to do that, it's like, boom, right? The sales come in, the clients come in, because that you're no longer energetically blocking all of it. And you're able to actually, Michelle, to your point earlier today, you're able to pick up the phone without the fear, because you're not repeating old behavioral patterns that you repeated with your parents, with your clients. Like this stuff, you don't realize how all tied together it is. It's all tied together. It's all tied together. So we want to heal whatever needs to be healed first, so that you can then confidently go out and take the activity that's necessary, do the activity, do the actions that are necessary to get to your goal. And it will happen like that, my friend. Wendy's saying it was super fast for you. Yeah, isn't it? And like, I love this. I love, say like Wendy and clients like you, or in other men and women, like seeing that shift that's so fast. And it's like, we have women who have been going to therapy for 8 years and continuing to dredge up and repeat those same emotions over and over and over again. And I've like, no knock on therapy. I've done therapy. I think you do whatever you need to do for you. But it's amazing to me how when we do that freeing work and then just focus on what's ahead, like how quickly things can shift. And I love seeing those shifts. Let me check. Michelle saying it was like relief. Yes. So this is what's beautiful about it, is it's like the shackles, right? The chains are removed from what you're doing, and you're free to go and show up as your most confident, full, embodied self. So with all of that being said, I want to invite you to listen to the podcast today. Check out the podcast today. We've got this really, really cool guest. He's got this very unique gift, and it was even out there from like, y'all been following me for a while. You know, I like some out there stuff. It was out there for me. He can look at you and see colors. Okay, so he reads people's energy with like he sees colors around your body. It's wild. I was like, okay, well, I'll play ball when he first got referred to me. And I did a session with him and it was like, oh my gosh, like profound, able to give me really clear guidance on parts of me that still needed to be healed, on how to think differently about myself and my business. And so I had him on the podcast today. His name's Justin Morris. You can go listen. It's the audio on his end was a little, hopefully it got cleaned up well, but the content is phenomenal. So go check that out. Let's see, Linda's saying like reading an aura. Yeah. And the way he describes it is he's like, I just look at you and I see colors around you. And it's like it's your energy centers in your body, your chakras that he's able to see. And he can say, like when he looked at me last time, he was like, Elyse, your violet is screaming right now, which is like connection to like that spiritual connection. And it was interesting. He said that because I had felt blocked for maybe a week or so. And I was just so in the doing of everything in my business. And he was able to look at me and be like, that you need to get back to that. And it was so helpful. So yeah, exactly like that, Linda. So go check that out. And let me ask you all too, like send me a DM. I've gotten different requests from different people. Some people want the book study, want to go back to that. Some people want more like coaching, training, tactical on these, like more just coming from Elyse. So what is most helpful to you? And if you can do a real quick comment, let me know in the comments. Do we want to go back to the book study? Do we want tactical? I feel like I'm getting a mixed bag of like 50-50 from people right now, but you all who are here live right now, you're like my lifers. I know, because I see you every morning and I love seeing you and I want to really serve you with what's most helpful. So I'm going to close this out in a second, but Laura's saying both. Okay. Mary's saying tactical. Okay. All right. Let's get a couple more votes in. Let's see. Michelle, tactical. Okay. Linda saying both. Okay. All right. Well, I've kind of set it up to be both moving forward. So I've got some mindset and some tactical. Wendy, I love the book studies, maybe a little tactical sometimes. Allison, good morning. Alternative days. Yeah. The way I've set it up is Monday is like sales. Let me see if I can remember. Monday is sales / tactical. Tuesday is actually tied to the podcast. So this whole thing, even though we just like briefly spoke about the podcast at the end, this is really about like, this is what the podcast is today. Wednesday is like wealth. So whether it's tactical wealth building or money, like healing relationship with money. Thursday is mindset and self-confidence. And then Friday is manifestation / feminine energy, feminine and masculine energy. Is that good? Do we like that? And we can tie in from some books with that. If you all have strong feelings a certain way, let me know. Mary's saying books can be tactful. Yeah, I think even tactical. Yes. Oh my gosh. My podcast episode released today on culture changers. All right, y'all. Well, that's exciting. So go listen to Allison Hare's podcast, Culture Changer. She has some minor people like Seth Godin on her podcast. No big deal. Allison, I'm so excited to be on there. Thank you. And thank you. So y'all can go check that out too. Good. This is feeling good to everyone. Michelle, you love that. Okay. All right. Well, then that's what we're going to do. So tomorrow we're talking more wealth consciousness, money mindset. And I'll throw in some tacticals for you along the way too. All right, friends. So much love. Thank you for joining. Go listen to She Sells Radio with Justin Morris. Go listen to Culture Changers with Allison Hare and yours truly. And I'm wishing you all a beautiful day. Thank you, Laurie. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. Have an awesome day, guys. Bye.